Hi, Jonathan Pickup. So this is really one from my students. They wanted to see how we could quickly develop this design here and how we could base that from importing our information with, how we can import the scan, how we can do our offset to the boundary, how we can import the council requirements, import this concept plan, and quickly draw the concept plan so that we get to this. So let's get started. So this is really an answer to something I was showing my students. I wanted to show my students a really quick, effective way of importing a site plan, scaling it to the right size, or calibrating it, you might call it, and then quickly bringing in their concept plan and knocking up a really quick design based on their concept. So let's get started with this and we'll see how we get on. I'm going to start with a brand new file. So this is ArchiCAD, File, New, and New. So what I need to do is to start with a template. I've got my students starting with this template here, and you'll notice that when I start with this template I lose a lot of my saved views. I lose a lot of my drawings because I really want the students to learn how to make those. I just need to migrate all my libraries, and now we can get started. Now I've got some files already prepared. Here they are here. So I've got here a certificate of title, so I'm going to drag that in. It's a PDF. Now making sure it's a PDF is really important because that's going to allow us to crop this plan. So the first thing I need to do is to rotate it. So I'm going to use my Command E, click that corner, let's rotate that round, and I'll bring this back into the drawing area there. Now because it's a PDF, I can use my pet palette and I can crop this really tight, or if I want to, maybe an easier way is to use these nodes here. Use that object there, that one there, which is the move node command, move node option. So I need to move that one out of the way. This one here needs to be up there somewhere. This one in this corner. So what I'm going to do is make this really tight to my site, so I don't have too many extraneous lines. And this one needs to come a little bit further over that way. And I only own lot 2, I don't own lot 3, so I don't really need it, but we'll leave it on there anyway. So that gives me my site. Now, is it the right size? Well, that's really important. Now I've got a distance here, 22.93 meters, just there, and I'm going to use that to scale this. So edit on the menu bar, reshape, and resize. And I'm going to resize this graphically, so define graphically. Click. So I'm going to zoom into the center of this circle. This is the center of my property line. And this one here. So this is the boundary peg here, center of that one. Zoom out a little bit so I can still read my dimension. So I need to type in the distance. You can see my tracker over there. 22930 millimeters. Now the measurement was in meters. I'm working in millimeters, so I needed to make sure I do that. Don't forget you've got the control or the command key, single quote, and that'll fit to objects. So that's a great start. You should save your file once you've got it done that far. So file, save. This is week 5. I'm just going to save this to my desktop. This is week 5, save. So I've got this the right size. Now I need to put in a north arrow. The north arrow is under the objects. So I make sure nothing is selected. Double click on the object tool. So there's my north arrow. I'm going to OK that. Click once to place it. There it is there. Now if I select it, I can just grab hold of these little magenta nodes here. I can pull that till it looks about the right size, and I'm happy with that. Now, a lot of the designs are going to be orthogonal to this boundary down here. So what I need to do is to rotate my view temporarily using the set orientation. This one here, we're going to set orientation graphically. I'm going to click here to start, center of that one there. Come to this far end down here. This is going to make it as accurate as possible. Click there. Now rotate that so it's horizontal. Cool. And you notice that my north arrow is still going in the right direction, so it maintains that sort of north aspect. And this is just a temporary rotation. You can see down the bottom here, there it is there, that's my temporary rotation. If I want to put it back to 0, I can do that, and then I can put it back to 23.5 degrees. Now what would be even easier is to save this as a view. So right click, save as view. I'm going to give it a custom name, so this is my rotated plan, and it's got all 1 to 50, and I'm just going to leave all those, current zoom, and ignore the zoom and rotation when opening this view. So I've now got a saved view here. This is my rotated plan, and anytime I zoom out, or if I go back to 0, zoom out, I can just double click rotated plan, jumps me back straight away. It's going to make it real easy for me to put my house on the site. Now we do need to put this scanned image on a ArchiCAD layer. I haven't got a layer for this at the moment, so I need to create one. So down here, the layer settings, we're going to create a layer. So let's click on the new button, and this is des : site scan. So I'm going to put a bunch of stuff on the site scan layer, but I do need to make sure that when I choose all, this one is on. So I'm going to turn that on, make sure that's selected, that's on, update it. Okay, now before we can see the effect of this, we have to select that object. We have to make sure it's not on the ArchiCAD layer any longer. We have to assign it to the des site scan layer. Now when I change to something else like details, it'll vanish. When I come back to all, it'll come back again, and this is on, now this north arrow is on the des furniture class. That's wrong. I need to put this on the des site boundaries. Now if I put it in site boundaries and I create a site boundary, every time I turn on the layer site boundaries, my north arrow will appear. Every time I turn it off, my north arrow will disappear. Now what that means is that I nearly always want to see my boundary and my north arrow together. So put them on the same layer, makes it easy. Alright, so we've got that house. Now I do need to have an outline of my project, or an outline of my building line. Now there is a tool that I can use. I don't want to use that tool just at the moment, so I'm just going to use the polyline. I've got a New Zealand or a Central Innovations tool for the boundaries, which works really well. So let's start here. We're going to click there to start my polyline, and I'm going to go around these boundary pegs here, and I'm going to just create a boundary that follows those boundary pegs. What I really need to do is to have an offset of 1 meter or 3.5 feet, because the offset is, let's just make sure I got all that in. Yep, that's correct. That one, and I'm going to double click there to stop. So I've got this polyline. What I need to have is I need to have an offset of 1 meter from the boundary. So that's my polyline. If I click on the edge of it again, I've got the offset all edges. So bring that in, distance 1 meter, and there it is. I've now got an offset. So now I know where I need to put my house. My house has to fit within that polyline. Now if you haven't saved your file lately, save it now. Make sure you've saved your file. The next thing I want to do is to quickly bring in my concept plan. Now I've got another plan that I'm going to use for that. It's a scanned image, it's a concept. It's this one here. Drag that in, and I think it's page number 1 that I want. Yep, page number 1. Let's place that. There it is there. Now it is a PDF, which means that I can crop it easily. Let's do that one. Crop that edge, crop this edge here as well. Crop the steps off. I don't want to have these steps at the bottom. I'm deciding I'm going to make a change to that design. So does my house fit on the site? Absolutely. But of course my house is the wrong scale. So what do I have to do? So let's scale this again. So we've got it selected, edit, reshape, resize, and we're going to define it graphically. So I know that the distance from that point, that's 0.5 meter, 1 meter, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5. Let's make it 5 meters to there, and 5 meters. So now my house plan is the correct scale. I just want to drag that so it fits inside my boundary. my boundary restrictions. There it is there. Now I do have an issue with the council. I do need to put a hammerhead turn here, or a turning bay, or a vehicle maneuvering area here. And I've got another PDF file that I'm going to use for that. This one here, the combined appendices. Let's drag that in. And one of these has got the picture of that one there. That's what I need, that hammerhead. And there it is. And I want to use, it doesn't matter which of these I use, but remember, first thing we have to do, we have to calibrate it. So let's scale this, edit, and we're going to reshape, I'm going to resize, define it graphically. So from the end of that line there to the end of this line here, and the distance is 9400, enter, and there it is. Now I can use my tools to crop that, so bring that side there in. I'm actually going to hide that curve because I don't want to see the curve, and bring this one into the curve as well, bring this one up to the bottom there, and bring this one, the top one, down as well. So I'll bring that all the way down to there. So that's what the council requires. They need this amount of turning. It's at the wrong rotation, so I'm going to use my rotate option. There's rotate there, there, there. Let's rotate that 90 degrees. So there it is there. We've got it in a reasonable spot to start with, and we're just going to drag this. So I'm going to select it, do Command D or Control D, and let's just drag that around. Now it's difficult to see because I haven't cropped these corners out. So let's have a look. What can we do? We can use this option here. So I'm going to click there. I'm going to click one at this corner here as well, the one there. And I'm going to move this one, which is that node there. Let's move that one to that point there. And then I'm going to create a curved node using that option. Now I need to do the same at this end. So let's click here to start. I want to put not a curve but a square one, a corner vertex. I need a corner vertex here as well, one there. I'm going to move this node to that point and then create my curve again using that mode. Cool, so there's my hammerhead or my vehicle turning requirement, and you can see it's just about fits. You know, this bedroom here maybe a little bit in the way. We could drag this down here a little bit. We might be able to get that a little bit more comfortable with that turning. So we're now underway. So now that we've got some of our requirements in line, it's time for us to start thinking about how we're going to draw this house plan. First of all, these two shapes here, make sure that they're on the Des Site Scan layer. Des Site Scan. And the reason for that, so that when I go to anything else, they all disappear. When I go back to all, they all come back again so I can see them. So the next thing I want to do, I'd really like to create a really quick walls, floor plan, roof, and so on. What am I going to do? I'm going to use my slab tool, and I'm using the floor finish 20mm ply, and I'm going to start by drawing a rectangular building. So starting here, it's going to come down to that point there, and I've got a slab. Now if I select it, there it is there, there's my slab. If you click on the edge, you've got these other options here like the add a polygon. So I'm going to add a polygon there, and it increases the size of my slab. We've got the same thing here, so let's click on that again, and we're going to start at this corner here, and we're going to go all the way up to there. The outside area is going to be a different type of deck. Let's do that again, that one, so from there down to there. Let's be okay, and let's do this again. So from this corner up to there. So you can see I've just increased the size of my floor just by adding onto it. If we have a look at the 3D view, there's the start of my floor plan. Back to my rotated plan. Let's hide all the stuff that we don't want to see, so let's go to plan floor. And you can see I can still see my slab. Now this is a bit of a problem, this node here, so in order to get rid of it, I'm going to click on it and move it to the nearest node, and that'll get rid of it. If you don't get rid of it, when we do the next step, it'll split the wall there, and when we do the coverings, it'll put those in as well. So what are we going to do? We're going to create walls. Double click on my wall tool, and it brings up my 90mm studs. So I've got exterior studs, I've got the height. I'm going to change this to not linked, make it 3.5 meters, and that's all I want to do at the moment. Now quickly draw the walls, spacebar, click, and it creates the walls. This is so quick. They're already created. Now the next thing I want to do is to put in some doors. Let me get my door tool. And what sort of doors do I want to put in? I really want to put in some double doors. I think I saw some here, not arched, double doors, rotating doors, hinge doors, folding doors. Where's sliding doors and sliding folding doors? Let's have that one. So this one here, I'm going to give this no grid. Where's style 5? That one will do fine. How many do we want in each side? We want 3 and 2, I guess. Yep. Middle stacking, no. 2 and 2. So let's have 2 and 2. So we got 4, so we got bifolds. In fact, what would be nice is 3 and 1. That's what I'd like. So 3 and 1 with that style. I can put handles on if I want. And there's my width there. We want this to be 3 meters wide and 2100 high. Okay, so I want to put one of those doors here. There's my door. You can see it highlighted. There's the outside. Put it in the middle. Click. I want another one over here. This is going to go in this area here. It's actually a little big. The easiest thing is to use your Command T. There it is there. So this needs to be 2 meters, and we're going to have 2 and 1. It's a bedroom after all. So that gets us started. Now I am in New Zealand, and I do have access to the CI tools. That's the CI tools up here. And one of the things to note is that because I created the walls the way that I did, when I turn off my suspend groups and I select a wall, it will select all of the exterior walls together as a single element. And because I've got the CI tools, I can use coverings and wall coverings, and I'm going to choose weatherboard walls. So my wall coverings here, I want the wall coverings to be weatherboard, and I'm not going to go into all the settings. I'm going to go okay. Now make sure you're outside the building, so it puts all the coverings on the outside. Now if you do turn off the suspend groups, you can then select some walls like these ones here. And so I want this part of the building here that sticks out to be a different material, and it's going to go all the way around to that wall. So I've now selected a few walls. I'm going to go Control T again, only this time instead of weatherboards I want vertical board and batten, and here are my settings. So it's vertical board and batten. I can change some of the settings for that. I'm not going to worry about it, and I've now got vertical board and batten. If we look at it in 3D, you can see I've got weatherboards, I've also got vertical board and batten, and I've got my windows cut out, and when I put my roof on and trim my walls to my roof, I'll end up with a really good. And when I trim my walls to my roof, I'll have a really good design underway. So back to my floor plan, and now all of my exterior coverings have ended up on the ArchiCAD layer. They should really be on Des wall coverings, and these ones here need to be selected and put on the same layer, because if you don't, you'll never be able to turn off those coverings. They'll always be visible, and eventually it'll get in the way. Now I should have done this first before I made it, but you can always go back and fix it later. Des wall coverings, cool, because I want to turn those off. Right click, layers, hide layer, there we are. So we're going to start with the roof tool. Double click on the roof tool. That'll open up your roof settings. Just down the bottom here, we're going to put that on Des Roofs. That's good. There's my pitch. I want that to be 25 degrees. The elevation 2700, 9 feet. Let's do that one there. Make sure that's 2700 there. And this is for if I want multi-plane geometry, if I want different parts of my roof at different angles and different elevations. So I'm just going to leave that alone. And OK. And don't forget, you can do your space bar again. So space bar on the outside of that wall, and it's created my roof. If I select my walls, and I need to turn off suspend group, so select my walls and select, I'm going to do this in 3D, so I'm going to select all my walls and my roof, right click and connect, trim elements to roof or shell, use the roof or shells in the current selection and trim. Now you notice it didn't do my coverings, so I should really do my coverings afterwards. So you will have to choose your coverings now that we've done them first. Just select the coverings and you can trim those coverings to the shell as well. And select the roof, right click, connect, and trim elements to roof or shell, trim. And I've got most of them, there's a few I need to go back and fix. Don't forget, you can always edit your roof. Click on this. I'm going to extend the ridge out to there, and that's given us the gable we wanted. Do the same with this one. Remember to click on that black dot there, the node, and bring that out to there. Click, and we've got that one. So there's the start of our project.